Welcome to class, everybody. I'm really glad that you're here. I should have mentioned that I'm hoping that you're practicing in a cool space today or somewhere that's temperature controlled. It's a really hot day in Vermont. Welcome. I'm so glad that you're in class tonight. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Amanda McIntire, and this is UVM's OLLI Beginning Yoga class. This is a free opportunity that's being graciously provided by the OLLI program in UVM's continuing distance education. So I'm glad you're taking advantage of this opportunity. I hope maybe you're sharing this link with your family and friends so that we can all be practicing yoga together while we're apart. This is a do what you can kind of a class. So whether you were outside all day long having fun or working hard, sitting in the dark in the air conditioning, working, whatever you may have been doing, this is a practice for you. So do what you need to take good care of yourself. Go deeper if you need a little bit more of a stretch. Take a break, drink some water, take a child's pose if you need to back off a little bit. This practice is about taking care of yourself and being kind to yourself in your body and in your mind. So I have far more interest in you doing that than whether or not you're able to touch your toes tonight. So yeah, let's see. Do what you can, be kind to yourself. I think that was it for my ground rules for this evening. It's been a little bit of a heavy week for folks, and so I was like, well, we're not going to talk about anything heavy in yoga class tonight, because I got to tell you about the new paddleboard that I got. Yes! So some of you know that I do enjoy paddleboarding, stand-up paddleboarding, where you're paddling around on top of the water. And I finally got my very own paddleboard, and I got to use it this weekend. It was awesome. And paddleboarding, having a paddleboard combines three of my favorite things: water, yoga, and my tiny dog. So for those of you who don't know, I have this tiny Chiweenie dog. He's like about this big. His name is Kevin, and he loves riding on the paddleboard with me. So super excited, beautiful weekend. Get on the paddleboard, get my little wiener dog, and we go paddling out into the middle of this small lake that my family lives on. And it was glorious. Oh, so nice. It was a little bit wavy, a little bit breezy, but there was enough room on the board for Kevin and I did some yoga practice. And boy, is it hard. If you've ever tried practicing yoga on a paddleboard, it really ups your balance game in a really, really big way. And the thing that's amazing about it is that you're really incentivized to stay balanced, because if you don't, you fall into the water. And because of that, your body naturally does a whole bunch of things that I cue in our yoga practice, because your brain is saying, I don't want to get wet, I don't want to fall, I don't want my dog to fall in the water. I did fall in the water a couple of times, but there was a lot of engaging going on, and there's a lot of falling going on. So when we're working in the yoga practice and we're working on balance, there's more intention involved when we're balancing, and our mind gets in the way. We're not necessarily as incentivized to not fall in the water or have our best friend get wet. So I want to give a couple of tips, because guess what? We're going to do some balancing and practice tonight. So a few things. Remember, yoga is this mind-body connection. So when we're balancing, these things are at play. In the physical realm, when we're balancing, think about a couple of things. One, whatever is connected to your mat stays firmly grounded. So if you're balancing on one foot, the foot that's on the mat stays grounded. If you're balancing on a shin, the shin stays connected, or the palms of your hands or your forearms. Whatever it is, remember that strong connection to your mat in order to have a steady base. Secondly is this idea of engagement, really specifically in the core, so keeping the abdominals really tight, but also keeping this hugging into the midline idea. So staying engaged not only in the abdominals, but all the way down the legs and all the way up the torso, hugging the skin towards the muscles, towards the bones. And then the third physical component to keep in mind is where you're looking. So that makes a really, really big difference. Sometimes when we're practicing yoga, if you look up towards the sky or towards the ceiling, your balance gets thrown off. Or if you're looking at something that's moving. So I invite you, as we're going through this balance practice today, when we're balancing, to be looking at something, a fixed point that's not moving. They call that a drishti in Sanskrit. So maybe it's one of the towers behind me, or something that's behind your computer or television screen, but some sort of a fixed point. So we've got grounding into the mat, we've got some engagement in the body, and then looking at something that's nice and steady. So those are some physical elements. In the mind, it's giving yourself a break and recognizing that your ability as a yogi or as a human is not tied to how well you can balance. Balancing is one of these things that comes and goes. We can certainly get better at it, but some days are better than others. Some sides of the body are better than others. Sometimes we balance better in the morning than we do in the evening. Sometimes we balance better when there's a new moon versus a full moon. So there's a whole bunch of factors at play, but the one consistent is to do all those physical pieces and then be really kind in the mind. Cheer yourself on, give yourself credit for trying it out, especially if it's difficult, and also recognize that if you fall out of the posture, you're still doing it right. Just do your best to commit to the effort and try it out again if that works for you. So, connection in the mind, connection in the body as we go through this practice. So remember, take care of yourself. Take a break if you need to. If you start to feel dizzy, or if looking up or any of the cues that I suggest don't feel good for you today, then don't do them and don't worry about it. That's part of what this practice is about. So I'm gonna show you some postures that you can try on a paddleboard if you want to, and also some postures that I definitely cannot do on a paddleboard yet that are gonna be some balance things that we'll work on together today. And why do we do this? Well, to be more balanced in the body. Typically, the older that we get, we start to lose balance due to some changes in the inner ear and in our physiology. But there's also, again, this mind-body connection. And when we find more balance in our bodies, that plays out off of the mat, where we're able to find a little bit more balance in our lives, whether it's in our choices, in our energy. So that's not a bad thing. Let's try this out together tonight. Let's begin by finding a comfortable seat, whatever that looks like for you. If you're sitting on a mat tonight, you can envision this mat as being sort of like your paddleboard. And in this seat, make sure that the weight is evenly distributed between both of your hips. You may be sitting on the floor, on a block, or on a blanket. Just make sure that the weight's even on both sides, and you're sitting up nice and tall. If you can have your legs crossed, that's great, go for it. But if that doesn't work for your body tonight, feel free to adjust the legs into a posture that's more comfortable for you. Plant your hands on your knees or thighs and bring the shoulders on the back as the chest comes just a little bit forward. Keep your chin parallel to the floor and extend the crown of your head up towards the ceiling as you close your eyes and settle into this nice, tall seat. And begin to connect with your breath here. Allow yourself to arrive on your paddleboard tonight. And do your best to let go of anything outside of this room that you're practicing in, anything off of your mat, paddleboard. And just let yourself be right here, right now. There's nowhere else that you need to be. And bring your awareness to this seat, this paddleboard that you're sitting on. And maybe you can feel the heat of the sun against your skin as you sit up nice and tall. Maybe you can feel a little bit of motion beneath you as the board just gently rocks from side to side. Notice the feeling of the breeze on your face, maybe your hair tickling around your ears and the back of your neck. Notice the sound of the water lapping on either side of your board. And maybe even the clicking of little tiny dog toenails as your friend walks up and down the board, waiting to find out what you're going to do. Picture yourself here, steady, balanced, and ready for whatever comes next. Keep sitting up nice and tall, letting your breath deepen a little bit. With each inhale, sitting up a little bit taller, a little bit brighter in your seat. With each exhale, relaxing the muscles of the face and the shoulders, letting yourself become more rooted in the hips. With every breath, find yourself a little bit more steady, a little more stable in this seat, even if the waves start to pick up a little bit. Still sitting up nice and tall. Bring your palms together in prayer position in front of your heart. And remember, if you find that this seat becomes uncomfortable, you're welcome to adjust your legs. But remember that you're on this paddleboard that requires some extra balance, so be really deliberate and intentional with your motions. We'll begin our practice by chanting the sound of Om together. And we're going to just chant it one time. And you can chant it as loudly or as softly as you would like. Take a full exhale and a full inhale for Om. Release your hands and just gently and slowly let your eyes flutter open, letting the sunlight back in. Keep sitting up nice and tall in your seat. And then gently bring your right fingertips behind you, left hand on the opposite knee for a twist. If the floor feels far away here, you can always place the right hand on your low back. Gently unwind through center and over to the other side. So left fingertips behind you, right hand on the opposite knee. Gently unwind back to center. Again, check in with your hips. Make sure you're firmly rooted and sitting up nice and tall. Extend your arms directly out to the sides, being cautious of whatever might be next to you. And then we're going to cross the arms. Right elbow comes underneath the left. And then we're going to bend the arms. We're coming into eagle arms. We're bringing the backs of the hands together. We're opening up through the shoulder blades. If your arms are really twisty and your shoulders are open, you might even be able to connect your palms here. But that's not the intention, so if you can't quite go that far, don't worry. How can you get your arms twisty here, hugging everything into the midline? On an inhale, bring your elbows up towards the ceiling a little bit, so a little bit of a back bend. And then as you exhale, bring the elbows in towards the belly button, rounding the spine. Nice. Inhale and come back up to center. And then reach your arms out to the sides once again. Sit up nice and tall. Readjust if you need to. And then this time we'll bring the left elbow underneath the right. This side might be completely different depending on your shoulders. So you decide what works best. Backs of the arms together, maybe the palms connect. The intention is to open up through the shoulders and get really nice and tight in the front here so that we're finding some steadiness. As you inhale, arch back a little bit, bringing the elbows more up towards the ceiling. Little back bend. As you exhale, we're going to start to pull the belly button in, bring the elbows towards the navel, round the shoulders. And then inhale to come back up to center. Extend your arms out to the sides, and then release your hands. Nice. If you're sitting on a block, remove it. If you're on a blanket, that's probably pretty nice. You can stay there. But bring the soles of your feet together and let your knees be wide. Grab a hold of the ankles and sit up nice and tall. As you inhale, bring the chest forward and look up. Shoulders are on the back. There's an arch in your back here so the chest is coming straight ahead. As you exhale, round the spine. Pull the belly in, round the shoulders forward. And then inhale to come back up to a neutral spine. Using your hands, gently guide the knees together and place your feet flat on the floor. And feet are about hips width apart. Bring your hands behind your thighs and sit up nice and tall. So any of these postures that we've done so far are awesome to do on a paddleboard. Doing seated postures on a paddleboard is really, can be really fun, really gratifying, and you don't fall in the water quite as much as when you're standing. So get nice and strong in the belly, pull the lower abs in, tuck the ribs in, nice and steady. Remember, we're on the paddleboard mat here. Gently start to tip back. We're shifting the weight towards the tailbone and strong in the belly. See if you can get your toes up off the floor for boat pose or navasana. Nice. All right, you can stay here or bring your shins to parallel. Make sure that you're breathing. If you want a little added challenge, you can free your hands from behind your thighs, reaching the fingertips straight towards me. Keep hugging the knees together so they're pointing straight up towards the ceiling. And then you can either stay right here or for an additional challenge, maybe you can straighten the legs. But remember, you're doing whatever works best for you in this practice tonight. And luckily, you're not actually on a paddleboard, so if you roll backwards, you're just going to gently land on the floor and not into the drink. All right, on an exhale, wherever you're at, come to a cross-legged seat and sit up nice and tall. Nice, great work. Come onto your hands and knees in a tabletop position. We're going to align the shoulders over the wrists and the hips over the knees. And as we're doing this, remember this idea that I mentioned of making sure that whatever contact points are connected to the mat are really firmly grounded. We'll start with some cat-cow. So as you inhale, you're going to drop the belly and chest and look up towards the sky. As you exhale, pull the belly in, rounding the spine, pressing the shoulder blades up towards the ceiling as the chin tucks. Inhale, drop the belly and chest, and take a look up. Exhale, round the spine, pull the belly button in. And just do a couple more of these in your own time and in your own breath. Inhaling for cow pose when you drop the belly and chest. Exhaling for cat pose when you round the spine. You can go more quickly or slowly, whatever you'd like. After your next exhale, come back to a neutral spine, flat back. Stay really grounded in the left hand and extend your right arm directly out in front of you. All right, so this right arm is really engaged here. You're strong and steady in the left hand. Bring your awareness to your right shin. Feel that connection between your right shin and the floor, and extend the left leg directly behind you for a balanced tabletop. If you find that this feels a little bit wobbly, think about flexing through the left foot, pressing the sole of the foot behind you. Engage in the inner thighs. That will help here. And if this feels really wobbly for you, maybe a little gratitude for the mat that it's not actually a paddleboard tonight. Steady breath. Excellent. Bend the lifted knee with the right hand, reach behind. If you can make a connection between your hand and the lifted foot or pants or toes, go for it. If you can't quite reach tonight, stay as steady as you can in this balance posture. Keep breathing and remember about this kindness to yourself in the body and in the mind. You may have been trying to reach this foot for a long time and it still feels like it's far away. You're still doing a great job. Keep trying. All right. On an inhale, reach the arm and leg out nice and long. And then lower your right hand to the mat. And we're going to move the left foot over towards the right side of your mat, taking a look over the right shoulder. So a little bit of a side bend. I did do this on the paddleboard this weekend and it actually worked better than I thought. You should be getting an opening on the left side of your hip. Or at least if you're tight there, you'll be feeling it there. All right, lift the toes up off the floor. Woo, come on back to center and bring the left knee underneath you. Take any movements that you need to take care of your body here, maybe wiggling the hips or the wrists. If you find that this is rough on your wrists, you may want to walk your hands forward of your shoulders a bit to have a wider angle. Think about pressing down through the heel of the hand. That'll help. All right, right hand is firmly pressing into the mat. Your core is nice and strong. You feel that left shin nice and connected. Extend the left arm directly out in front of you. Nice, strong and steady. Extend the right leg directly behind you. So you're pressing down through the right hand, pressing down through the left shin. That right leg is straight and at hip height, and you're pressing the sole of your foot all the way to the back of the room, reaching the fingertips forward. Stay strong in the belly to protect the low back here. And then bend the lifted knee and with the left hand, reach behind. Maybe your hand gets closer, maybe not. But wherever you're at, you're staying as balanced as you can on this right hand and this left shin. Breathing. On an inhale, extend the arm and leg, nice and long. Nice. Lower the left hand down to the floor. Move your right toes towards the left side of the mat and look over the left shoulder. A little bit of a side stretch here. Using your abdominals, lift the right foot, bringing it back to center. Right knee comes underneath the right hip. Move your hips back towards your heels, coming on into a child's pose or balasana. In child's pose, your knees are wide, big toes are together. Your fingertips are extending up towards the top of your mat as your hips move back towards your heels. Nice long spine here. On an inhale, come back up to tabletop. Walk your knees back a couple of inches and walk your hands forward a couple of inches. Tuck your toes and make your way up to plank, top of a push-up. So in plank, we've got the shoulders over the wrists. The back body is nice and straight. You're pulling in at your lower abdominals. The glutes are engaged. Lots of energy through the heels. Nice steady breath. Keep your hands and feet where they are, and then press into the hands, moving the hips up and back to downward facing dog. So the hands are really pressing into the floor. Think about pressing the heels of the hands, the fingertips into the mat as the hips move up and back. And then walk your feet forward, coming to a forward fold at the top of your mat. Feet hips distance apart and parallel. Grab opposite elbows here. Keep both feet planted as you just fold a little bit deeper, letting the head relax. Release the elbows and bring your hands to your hips. Press into your feet, bending the knees, getting the hips underneath you, and come on up to standing. Nice. So bring yourself to the top of your mat if you're not there already, and check out your feet. Make sure that they're hips distance apart and parallel. That means that they're lined up just below the hip bones, knee, ankle out to the second toe. Stand up nice and tall. Engage the abdominal muscles here, so I'll give you a little side view. Get a soft bend in the knees. Stick the tailbone out and pull the lower abdominals in. And if you don't know where they are, you can use your hands to identify them just below the belly button. Nice and strong in the low belly. You're going to then neutralize the low spine so the tailbone's more towards the floor. Ribs are tucked in, so you're really strong through the core. And then straighten the legs as you release your arms down by your sides. Nice. So the crown of the head is extending up towards the ceiling. Your feet are rooted, core is strong, just like we talked about for balancing. And then I just want you to close your eyes and just gently rock from side to side. And see if you can find the middle point in your feet so that you're really standing right on top of your feet, not, pushing more on the inside of your foot or the outer edges, but really using all four corners of your feet. It helps to close your eyes to kind of get that sensation. Nice. So get nice and centered. Come to stillness and open your eyes. Bring your hands to your hips, still standing up nice and tall, and then start rocking back and forth. We're going to heel toe it. So you're going to go from your heels to your toes, to your heels, to your toes. And that might be a nice, smooth, steady motion for you, or this might be all over the place. Remember, this is a practice, so do the best that you can. And remember this idea of staying engaged in the core. Notice if this is challenging your balance at all. Nice. And then come to stillness. Release your arms down by your sides. Inhale to float your fingertips up. Exhale, hinge at the hips and swan dive all the way forward, still strong in the belly, strong in the legs. Inhale up halfway to a flat back. So your hands are on your thighs and your elbows are tucked in. Exhale, hinge at the hips and fold all the way forward. Bend your knees. Inhale, reach your arms wide. Press into the feet, reach your arms all the way up. And then as you exhale, sit back for chair pose or Utkatasana. So you shift the hips back. You stay strong in the legs and in the belly. Arms are extended up overhead. Nice. What does this have to do with balancing, you might say? Well, for one thing, chair pose, which we're in right now, or fierce pose, is a real grounding posture. So it's a really great way to get yourself steady, even, and balanced before you start doing things like balancing on one foot, for example. Inhale to straighten the legs and reach the arms up and release. All right. If you have a yoga block, please grab a hold of it. If you don't have a yoga block, it's not required. If you're like, ooh, but I want to play along, perhaps you have a small pillow or a blanket that you can fold up. We're going to take this block and place it in between the thighs, as high up as is comfortable for you. And notice that I have a little bit more of the tail end sticking out behind, so it's more flush in the front. And notice, your feet are automatically hips distance apart. Now, if you don't have a block or something in between the legs, we're going to be doing the similar postures to what we just did. So we'll start by finding mountain pose. Feet pressing into the floor, engagement through the legs and the abdominals, arms down by your sides, crown of the head up towards the ceiling. Now this block, or whatever you may have that you're squeezing with the inner thighs, is a lot like being on a paddleboard, being afraid you're going to fall in the water, because we're automatically engaging so that we don't drop the block. So psychologically or internally, we're like, I don't want to lose the block. So you're staying nice and strong in the lower body. Inhale to float the fingertips up. Keep squeezing the block. Exhale, hinge at the hips and swan dive all the way forward. If you need to bend your knees a little bit, that's okay. Notice how strong and steady you are here. Inhale up halfway to a flat back. Hands are on your thighs. If the block slips a little bit, feel free to adjust it. Exhale, hinge at the hips and fold forward once again. And then bend your knees. Inhale, arms come all the way up, and we're going to exhale to sit back, Utkatasana. Squeeze in at the thighs. So this squeezing sensation in at the thighs, that's part of this idea of hugging into the midline. So as we go through some of these balance postures, if I say squeeze in towards the midline or hug in at the inner thighs, we want to mimic this idea of having the block or a pillow or whatever you might be utilizing tonight. Inhale to straighten the legs, release your arms down by your sides. You can set the block off to the side. But remember, you're always welcome to use a block anytime you like. And if you don't have your own yoga blocks, I highly encourage you to get them. So, shake it out a little bit. Find yourself up at the top of your mat. And find mountain pose. Nice and tall and strong. Feel your feet pressing into the floor. Find that engagement in the inner thighs and in the belly. Bring your hands to your hips as you stand up nice and tall. Feel your left foot firmly rooted. Start to shift your weight and make that right foot nice and light. See if you can come up on your right big toe. So all the weight is pouring into the left leg, but you're strong all the way up the body. Nice and rooted. Now you can either stay here or see if you can flex your right foot and lift the right knee up in front of you. Think about hugging into the midline, squeezing in at the thighs like there's a block there. It helps to keep the foot flexed. Wherever you're at, we're going to gently step the right toes back to a high lunge. So whether your toes are connected to the floor or your foot is lifted, take a nice big step back to a high lunge. Now in high lunging, there's balancing involved here. So get yourself a nice steady base. Make sure that your feet are hips width apart and that you're not walking on a tightrope. Feel that front foot pressing into the floor. Your front knee is aligned with the front ankle. Your back leg is straight. Strong in the belly like we do in mountain pose. So lower abdominals are tucked in, ribs are nice and tight, arms come down by your sides. And then clasp your hands behind, right at the base of the neck, or the base of the skull, where the skull and the neck connect. Nice and open here, strong in the belly. We're gonna do a little bit of balancing here. We're gonna test it out. So stay nice and strong, little bit of a back bend. So see if you can arch back, looking up towards the ceiling. Notice what that does with the balance. See if you can hug into the midline, squeezing in at the thighs, at the belly. Make sure you're breathing. Gently make your way back to center. Bring your hands to your heart. And on an inhale, we'll twist, opening to the left side. So we're twisting towards the bent knee. Your right hand is in front and your left hand is behind. All right. Gently unwind back to center. Palms come to your heart. Bring the hands to the hips. Kick off the back foot and come on up to the top of the mat. Shake it out a little bit. Maybe notice how your legs might feel different from one another, or maybe not. Find mountain pose again, this nice, strong mountain. This time feel your right foot firmly pressing into the floor. You're really strong in the belly. Hands are on the hips as you start to shift your weight. And come up onto the big toe of the left foot. Start by standing nice and tall, as strong and steady as you can be. So I should mention, when I'm on a paddleboard, this is about where I can get without falling off in this posture. So we're on an extra stable paddleboard tonight. Yay, that's nice. So you can stay right here or join me in trying to flex the left foot, maybe even lifting the left knee up towards hip height. Standing up nice and tall and strong. Giving yourself credit for wherever it is that you're at. Remember, this balance thing changes, but practicing it will lead you in a positive direction. All right, make sure you're hugging into the midline, especially if you're challenged with the balance here. Gently step your left toes back to a high lunge. And of course, make any adjustments you need to get stable. So maybe scoot the back toes back more. Your back heel is lifted and that left leg is straight. You're bending into the front knee, and it might help to move your right foot more to the edge of the mat. Get strong in the belly. Pull in the lower abs, tuck the ribs. Arms are down by your sides, and then clasp the hands behind the head. Strong and steady, little bit of a back bend. See if you can look up towards the ceiling. See how far you can comfortably go. Keep hugging in at the thighs if this is challenging your balance. We're still bending into the front knee. All right, on an inhale, make your way back to center. Nice. Palms come to your heart. And then on an inhale, we'll twist towards the bent knee. So left hand is in front and your right hand is behind you. Nice and steady. And if you're like, whoa, my legs are not steady right now, just do the best that you can. Keep hugging in, nice and strong. Just your best effort. Exhale to come back to center. Nice. Hands come to heart. And then hands to the hips. Kick off the back foot and come on up. Shake it out a little bit. Nice work. So remember, take a break if you need to. Shake it out if you need to. Or get ready. So come on up to the top of your mat. Once again, find your feet hips distance apart and parallel. As you inhale, float the fingertips up. Pause here for a moment. Check in with yourself. Are your feet grounded? Are your legs engaged? Is your core nice and strong? Is the tailbone pointed towards the floor? Shoulders relaxed? Nice. Exhale, hinge at the hips and fold all the way forward. Bring your hands to the floor or to blocks as you step your right foot back to a lunge. So we're starting in a low lunge here. Front knee over the front ankle. Back leg is straight. Remember, we're not on a tightrope, so feel free to scoot your left foot more out towards the edge. All right. So envision that you have the block in between your thighs here. You're like, wait a minute, that's not going to work. So that's why you're envisioning it. But picture that you're hugging in at the thighs and bring your hands to your front thigh. Nice job. You can either stay here or shift yourself so that the hands come to the hips. Now, if you get here and you're like, whoa, this lunge is so much deeper than I wanted it to be, feel free to adjust. You can bring your hands down and scoot the back foot in now that you know that we're rising up. So find a nice steady lunge here. Inhale and reach the arms up towards the sky. Exhale, release your hands down towards the blocks or the floor and make your way back to plank, top of a push-up. If you need to drop your knees to the floor first, do that. But end up with the shoulders over the wrists, nice straight legs. Make sure you're breathing. And then lower your knees. Point your toes and lower the torso all the way down to the mat. Legs are straight and toes are pointed. Hands under the shoulders. Get nice and strong in the belly. Imagine that you're squeezing the block between the thighs. As you exhale, gently peel the chest off of the mat for cobra. Exhale to lower back down. Tuck your toes and make your way back to downward facing dog. You can go through tabletop or you can do a push-up through plank, but we'll wind up in downward facing dog. Strong and steady on an inhale, float your right leg up for three-legged dog. Now in three-legged dog, the hips are level here, so it helps to keep the right foot flexed and try to keep the hips steady. Now this might be plenty for you tonight, and if it is, I don't blame you a bit. But if you want to try an extra challenge that involves some engagement and some balance, we're gonna stay in this three-legged dog, and you're gonna come up on your left fingertips. So we're gonna tent the left hand, you're pressing into the right hand, and you're going to stay balanced on your right hand and your left foot. See if you can bring your left hand to your hip. What? So maybe walk the hand in a little bit closer to you. I do not do this on the paddleboard, as I can barely do it on the mat. But try it out. Maybe you fall over, maybe the foot drops, but notice the effort that goes in here. Bring your left hand to the mat, lower the right foot, and walk your way up to the top of your mat, coming to a forward fold. Oh my goodness, nice job. Bring your hands to your hips, press into your feet, and come on up to standing. What the heck was that? I meant to say at the beginning of class that a beginner class does not mean an easy class. Beginner classes are usually easy for experts, but if we're actually beginners in beginner classes, it can be challenging. And what fun would it be if it wasn't? So good job for sticking in there or for taking a break and watching me do that instead. Find yourself up at the top of your mat because you know we have a second side to do. Stand up nice and tall. Nice and strong in the belly, strong in the thighs. Inhale, arms reach up. Exhale, hinge at the hips and fold all the way forward. This time left foot comes back for a lunge. And you know we're going to be rising up here, so let's begin by getting a nice steady base. Maybe you want to shorten your stance a little bit. Right foot more towards the edge of the mat. Hands are connected to the blocks or the floor. Bring your hands to your front thigh, and then hands come to the hips. Nice. And if you have to adjust once you're here, do that. Find some balance. Release your arms down by your sides, and then inhale to float the fingertips up, keeping the belly strong and the shoulders relaxed. So I did work on this one on the paddleboard, like rising up into this crescent warrior. And I did do it a couple of times, but there were some definite spills as well, which you can probably envision if this feels wobbly to you. All right, exhale. Release your fingertips down to the floor. Make your way back to plank, top of a push-up. You can step back or drop the knees first. And then you can either drop your knees or lower down in one straight line so that you're on your belly with your legs straight on the mat. Toes are pointed, hands underneath the shoulders. Stay strong in the belly, press into the hands and peel the chest up for a higher cobra. Nice. Exhale to release back down. Tuck your toes. We'll work our way back to downward facing dog. Adho Mukha Svanasana. Oh, yay, we get to do this again. So get nice and strong in your down dog. Engage that inner left thigh and lift the left leg up for a three-legged dog. Now, three-legged dog might be plenty for you, and it is plenty. So feel free to stay here if that works for you, or to come into child's pose. Or if you want to try this extra challenge, come up onto your right fingertips, making that right hand nice and light, walking the right hand a little closer to you, maybe even bringing the right hand to your hip. It's okay if your foot drops first. Just try it out. Do your best. Notice all of these little motions your body does to try to balance. Woo! All right, lower the right hand, lower the left foot. Walk your way up to the top of your mat, coming to a forward fold. Bend your knees, inhale, reach your arms wide as you come all the way up. Nice job. Connect the palms. Exhale and bring your hands to your heart. Nice work. Shake it out a little bit. Get a drink of water if you need to. Make your way to the middle of your mat. And once again, bring your feet to hips distance apart and parallel. Stand up nice and tall and strong like you're on this paddleboard that you are definitely not going to fall off of. Your little friend is running along on the board looking at you, wondering what you're doing. Feel your right foot pressing actively into the floor. Nope. Feel your left foot actively pressing into the floor. We'll start on the left side. Standing up nice and tall, start to shift your weight, freeing your right foot as we come into tree pose. And I invite you to place your foot either in first position with the toes connected to the floor and the sole of the foot to the ankle, or come on up to the inner calf. If you're feeling really grounded, maybe do the inner thigh, but remember, we're on a paddleboard. That might be a little bit difficult tonight. I can't even do the toes connected to the floor on the paddleboard. I'm all over. So stay nice and strong, foot pressing into the mat, foot pressing into the leg as the leg presses into the foot. Palms come together in prayer in front of your heart. Make sure you're looking at something that is not moving, that drishti. And from here, if you're brave, want to try it out, even if you're not brave, you can try it out, your choice. I invite you to close your eyes and notice what happens when that drishti is taken away. You might fall out of the posture. Maybe you're rocking it. Maybe you're staying solid, but just try your best. Gently open your eyes. Woo! Bring the knee forward, lower the foot, and shake it out. Nice work. All right, other side. Feet are hips distance apart. Once again, feet pressing into the floor, active in the thighs, strong in the core. Stand up nice and tall. Right foot is rooted. Start to shift your weight, placing the left foot against the right ankle or the calf, or maybe the inner thigh if you're really feeling steady tonight. Stand up nice and tall in this tree pose, Vriksasana, and bring your palms together in prayer. pressing the hands together, hugging into the midline, and looking at something that's not moving. Make sure you're breathing. All right, and then gently close the eyes. Steady breath. Just do the best you can. All right, gently let the eyes flutter open. Bring the knee forward, lower the foot, and shake it out a little bit. Nice. Bring your feet wider than hips distance apart, and we'll do some empty coat sleeves. So we're moving the hips from side to side, letting the heels be free, letting the knees be soft, and the arms are just like big, heavy weights for empty coat sleeves. Nice. And then as you exhale, just gently allow yourself to unwind back to center. Nice. Find yourself still in the middle of your mat, hopefully. Feet are hips distance apart and parallel, and you're standing up nice and tall. Again, engagement, energy from the feet all the way up through the legs, inner thighs, belly, standing nice and tall. Little soft bend in the knees here. Hands are on the hips. Begin to shift your weight towards the left foot, freeing the right foot, and we're going to try to cross the right leg over the left. Now, it may be that your right toes stay connected to the floor. It may be that you are able to wrap your foot around the standing leg as we move into eagle pose. Wherever you're at, you're squeezing into the midline, extend your arms out to a T, and then like we did in the beginning, right elbow comes underneath the left, bending the arms. Do whatever works best for you here. So maybe it's the backs of the hands, maybe it's the palms, maybe you're like, what are we doing? Just do your best. Remember, this is a mind-body experience. So do your best to be kind to both. Stay nice and strong, hug everything into the middle. If you can, you want a little added challenge, see if you can raise the elbows up towards the ceiling. And then bring the elbows in towards the belly button. Inhale to come back up to center, release the arms, release the leg, and shake it out a little bit. What? I know. That was Garudasana, which is eagle pose. And there's a lot of twisting, there's a lot of hugging going on. So maybe your top foot connects to the floor, maybe you're balancing on one leg. Just do your best with it. Really great job. Find mountain pose once again, right in the middle of the mat. This time, energy is pulling up through the legs and you're starting to pour your weight into the right leg. Keep that soft bend in the knees. We're going to cross the left foot, or the left leg rather, over the right. Maybe your toes stay connected to the floor. Maybe you're able to sink back, bending the knees, getting the foot off of the mat. Maybe the foot wraps around the leg. Arms come out to a T. And then this time, left arm comes underneath right as you bend the elbows, bringing the backs of the hands together, bringing the palms together, whatever works. And maybe you're solid and steady tonight, or maybe you're wobbling all over the place, but just do your best. Keep pressing into the big toe of the standing foot. That'll help. Then you can stay here or try lifting the elbows up towards the ceiling and then bringing the elbows in towards the belly button. Just do your best, whatever feels right for you tonight. Inhale to come back to center. Release the arms. Woo, release the legs. Shake it out a little bit. Oh, nice job. Really great effort and great decisions for yourself, whether you were trying all of those out or whether you were drinking some water, chilling, watching me try it out. Great job. Bring yourself up to the top of your mat. Stand up nice and tall. Inhale to float your arms up overhead. Exhale, hinge at the hips and fold all the way forward. If you have a block, take it to the tallest side off of the mat ahead of your left foot. If you do not have a block, don't worry about it. You're going to step your right foot just a couple of inches behind you. If you can, left hand goes on the block, otherwise hands go on the hips. See if you can get your right foot up off of the floor. Now this block, if you're using it, is just for a little bit of balance. We're using Most of the strength is in the standing leg and in the core. Right hand is on the hip, left hand is either on the block or on your hip. Gently lower the right foot down and switch sides with the block. So the block is going to go on the right side ahead of your foot. Gently step the left toes back just a little bit. Left hand is on the hips, right hand is either on the block or your hip, and gently see if you can get your left foot up off of the mat behind you. Remember, it helps to flex the lifted foot. It helps to press into the big toe of the standing foot. Exhale to release the foot back down to the mat. Come on up to standing. And just notice what your legs feel like. They might feel really heavy right now. And if they do, awesome. That's a sign of all of your effort. These postures where we balance on one leg, these are weight-bearing exercises which help protect our bone density, which is a great thing. So sometimes that gives us that heavy feeling in the legs. Really nice job. It's time to start cooling down. So just make your way down to the mat, however works best for you. Come and have a seat. You've done a great job on this warm evening. So we will come and sit with the legs straight out in front, sitting up nice and tall. Fingertips are on either side of the hips. Inhale to float the arms up. Exhale to hinge at the hips and fold forward. And the hands connect wherever it's comfortable for you, where you can keep a nice long spine. So maybe it's your toes or your ankles. Nice. Walk the hands in as you sit up. And then scoot around so that you're in a tabletop position. Cushion your knees if you need to. We're going to step the right foot forward to a low lunge, coming up to standing on the back knee. Nice. Hands are on the hips. Belly is nice and strong. Again, cushion that back knee if you need to. Make this comfortable for your body tonight. All right, as you exhale, we're going to shift the weight in the hips forward. We're going to shift this front knee forward, creating a nice wide angle on the left hip, opening up the left psoas and the quad. As you exhale, shift the hips back, flexing the right toes up towards the ceiling. Maybe you need to use your hands to straighten the leg. And we're going to take the fingertips towards the pinky toe side of your extended leg. This could be a nice place for a block if the floor seems far away. But keep flexing those right toes back so you really get into the hamstring, back to the calf. Inhale to bend into the front knee once again. Keep the left hand on your knee. As you inhale, twist the right arm to the side. So this little sequence can be really nice on a paddleboard as well, as long as you have sufficient cushioning underneath the knees, and that'll depend on the kind of board you have. But we're still hugging in at the thighs here, so there's still some balancing element. Exhale to unwind to center. We'll switch sides. So bring the right knee back, step the left foot forward, get yourself situated. Stand up nice and tall on that back knee. All right. Exhale and move the weight forward, moving the front knee, opening up the right quad, the right inner thigh. Make sure you're breathing. All right. Shift the hips back, bringing your hands towards the floor, straightening the front leg. Maybe needing to use your hand if that is helpful. Flex your left toes up towards the ceiling, and the hands are going to go on the pinky toe side of your left foot. This could be a good place for a block as well. And remember, these blocks are three-dimensional, so if you want it to be taller or shorter, you can do that. All right, inhale to bend into the front knee once again. Right hand comes to the thigh. Inhale, sweep the left arm behind you for a twist. Exhale to unwind, back to center. Nice job. Bring your hands down to the floor, and we're going to come to a seat on the mat. And scoot your way up to the top so that your toes are up at the very top of the mat. Knees are bent, pointing up towards the ceiling, and gently begin to lower yourself down to the floor so that you're laying on your back with your knees bent and your feet flat on the floor. Make sure your spine is nice and long, that the vertebrae are all aligned, nestling the shoulders on the back. Arms are down by your sides with your palms face down. Cross your right ankle over your left thigh, and then pull both legs in towards the body. Again, your arms are down by your sides with your palms face down. Both feet are flexed for this reclined pigeon pose. Use your breath, and you decide how intense you want this posture to be. So you can be pushing this left knee into the right leg as much as you can, or you can be backing off of it and just breathing deeply into the hip. Yogi's choice. Release both feet to the floor, and we'll switch sides. So left ankle crosses over the right thigh. Hands still connected to the floor, nice and strong in the arms as you pull the legs in towards the body with the feet flexed. Use your breath to create space wherever you need it. Exhale to lower both feet down to the floor. And then bring your feet to the edges of the mat so that they're nice and wide. Arms are still down by your sides with your palms down. And just gently let your legs windshield wiper from side to side. So that just means that you let both knees fall over towards the right. And both knees fall over to the left. And you can go as quickly or as slowly as you would like. This is a little bit of a massage for the hips and the low back. Come to stillness with the legs and bring the soles of the feet together. Let the knees be wide. Gently tuck the shoulder blades down on your back and let the backs of your hands connect to the floor so that your palms are face up here. Be really nice and broad through the collarbones. Close your eyes and connect with your breath here. This is going to be our final resting posture before shavasana tonight. You're welcome to stay right here if this feels good in your body. If you'd like to take a traditional shavasana, extend your legs straight out on your paddleboard and let your feet be about mat width apart. Let your feet just relax open to the sides. Remember, we're laying out in the sun on our boards in the middle of the lake with our little dog friend, hopefully not licking our faces. But really let yourself soak in the sun here. So really take up some space. Relax the muscles of the face and the neck. Feel the firm support of your board beneath you. There's only just a little bit of rocking. It's pretty steady, just like you. Take this time to feel the effects of your yoga practice. And just relax knowing that there is no more effort. You're not going to fall in the water. Just rest. Allow your breath to start to deepen. Bring a little bit of movement back into your toes and fingers. On an inhale, reach your arms up overhead as you extend your legs out nice and long, pointing your toes, stretching through your fingers. And then hug your knees in towards your chest as you gently roll onto your right side. Keeping your eyes closed and using as little movement as possible, gently make your way up to a seat. Sit up nice and tall like you did in the beginning, and when you find your seat, bring your palms together in prayer in front of your heart. I hope that maybe I was able to transport you even just a little bit to one of my favorite places on the water with my little friend doing some yoga on a paddleboard. At the very least, I hope that you got some good balance practice in tonight, and you can always practice these postures without me, but I'm so glad that you were here to practice them with me tonight. We will close our practice by chanting Om, and we'll chant it just one time. Take a full exhale, and a deep inhale for Om. The light in me honors and acknowledges the light in each of you with great respect. Namaste. Great job. Thanks so much for coming to class. I look forward to seeing you next week. I hope that you feel a little bit more balanced as you go through the week ahead. Take care of yourself.